This is for the wellness industry and spiritual practitioners. Let's shift your mindset by looking at some 7 common beliefs and perspective shifts to improve your mindset around your business and your marketing. So common belief number 1 is, will this business even work out for me? So remember, we're talking about the wellness industry. We're talking about spiritual practitioners. Is this even going to work out for me? Heck yeah, you're in the right industry. Let's have a look at that. The wellness industry is on the rise, and this includes spiritual practices as well. So you're not wrong to want to participate in this type of business. You're not wrong. All right. Wellness is a $1.5 trillion industry that is growing. And, you know, whenever you have an industry that's growing, that's making money, you can absolutely have a slice of that pie. And spirituality is a big part of that market. So industry spend and investment from corporations and funding have been going up. I think probably maybe you've seen a trend in corporations that really start to focus on well-being and wellness for their employees, because they realize that employees who are well do better, right? It's a more productive company. So there is money in it. There's not only just working one-on-one with people or in like a consumer aspect, but also from the corporate level. And many types of businesses in that space have a low barrier of entry. So I'm not going to pretend that, you know, every type of business in the wellness industry doesn't cost money to set up and run, or education. Like certainly I think of therapy or a nutritionist is, you know, highly regulated. But there's plenty that, you know, really low barrier of entry, and you don't even need an office space. You just need an internet connection, you know, stuff like that. So many types of businesses are really easily accessible. And technology makes it so easy to automate so many aspects of their business and reach more people online, right? Like I even think of, again, you know, a massage therapist, for example. If you wanted to book with your massage therapist, you used to have to call them and say, hey, can I get an appointment? So somebody would have to answer the phone and, you know, check the books to see when they could, you know, and there's a little back and forth. Could you do Tuesday at blah, 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 you know, and that all takes time. Now you just have a link on your website and the person clicks the link, they pick a time that's linked to your calendar. It automatically filters out what days are available. It automatically charges them the money, right? So you don't even have to, that you've just saved like 15 minutes of that back and forth and taking their credit card information and whatever, and they're just self-served it. So there's so many ways now that technology makes businesses so much easier and faster and accessible. All right, so common belief number 2. Does anyone even want this from me? Heck yeah. Your services are absolutely needed now. All right. So you're part of global transformation. Humanity is going through turmoil and a new era of transformation. It's time for all hands on deck. Okay. So I don't know if you remember, like in 2012 when like the world was ending, right? That was part of the Mesoamerican long count calendar. And it marked this period. I think it was 2012 was like the center of the period, but the period actually goes from, I think it was like 1970 or something to 2050, something like that, or 2050. But it really was like the lowest point of humanity. And according to this, you know, this theory or this belief, but that we're actually on the way up, and that we're all going through some kind of physical or spiritual transformation. And I don't know if you're into astrology, but we have entered the age of Aquarius, which is a big, huge shift as well. And, you know, even just in terms of the economy, like there are economists who believe that capitalism, the method of capitalism that we have, is actually shifting and changing into a different model, much like the aristocracy of the day, you know, when you had your kings and your queens and your dukes and your whatever, you know, that system crumbled. And then we entered into more of this capitalist way of where really anybody could rise up through the ranks, sort of a thing. Whereas before that was not possible. Like if you were a serf, you could never rise up to be a king or a queen, right? So that was like one model, and that shifted and changed. There are some economists who believe that the model of capitalism now is shifting and changing as well. But we're on the way up. We're on the way up. So never before have humans needed to process this amount of information or social responsibility, and we're drifting further apart. So wellness and spirituality are actually much, much, much needed right now. Okay, so you are absolutely needed. And the old structures of well-being are crumbling, and rapid transformation is happening. So some of the things that I had mentioned before, um, like there's energetically like people are sort of seeming to feel and sense that there's this transformation happening. But also with major religions, so Christianity and Islam, there's this huge mass exodus from these types of major religions. But people still need wellness practices and crave spiritual connection. So now that they don't have these big old structures of faith to kind of give us those guidelines around well-being and spirituality, there's this void that's happened, but people still need those things. Now, you may be thinking like, well, there's already people doing this and maybe they're better or they're more experienced or they have a better website or they've been doing it for 10 years, they have more followers, whatever it is. You need to know that new people always need to enter the industry. Okay. It's for variety. Like I think of like drag queens. Like I love drag queens. I don't follow just one drag queen. I follow a whole bunch of drag queens, right? It's variety. But we also need replacements. So people retire. They get bored with their jobs and transition into something else. They sell their businesses and maybe the next person who buys it doesn't do it as well, right? So if you imagine if you're looking at somebody who has maybe 10 years experience and maybe you're just starting out or you have a few years experience, it's easy to look and go like, oh, well, that person's so much better because they have 10 years experience. Well, guess what? If as you're going and getting experience, they're going and getting experience as well. But now they've got like 20 years experience and they're like, I'm going to retire and they drop out. And now guess what? You're the person with 10 years experience, right? So if you don't go and keep going like that, once they're cleared out of the industry, you're the one who's top dog, right? So the industry needs replacements. There's also that supplements, right? So sometimes one person does it a certain way, and having that supplemental information from another source can really help give people that broader perspective and or like even again, maybe that one person who seems to be so much better, they're actually really busy and they're fully booked. So, they somebody might want to work with them, but they can't work with them for another like 4 months. So guess what? Your calendar's a little bit more open. You can see them right away. That's a supplement. Different perspectives, right? Everybody shares something a different way. So your unique way of sharing something might hit somebody more to the core, might give them that aha moment that other person never could. And then new ways of doing things. So certainly when someone is in an industry, they're doing something for a really long time, they tend to get stuck in their ways and a little bit rigid. And especially because everything's always changing and transforming, we absolutely need new people to be entering in and and uh and offering their services and their perspectives. So you are absolutely needed. What's next? Common belief number 3. Is this the right path for me? Give me a sign, universe. I know have you ever done that before? You're like, I need to know, like, am I doing the right thing? And I love this perspective shift. It's my absolute favorite. It is, you are the universe. Now I'm going to get sciencey. So if this feels like, blah, like, don't worry about it. Take it, leave it, whatever. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's all right. I just have this really strong sense and belief in you and your ability to create and make decisions. And it is backed in science. So if you have the desire or the vision, the universe does too. You're right, because you are the universe. And so here's some science stuff. You're made of cosmic materials forged in stars. Okay. So everything that makes up your body, all the heavy elements, they're birthed in stars. When they die, they explode and they create these heavy elements. They spread it across the galaxy, they get populated on planets, and then they are formed into your body. When you die, the energy of your body is going to go back into that system and be reused, right? Recycled, reused. So you are part of this constant flow of energy. You're not this unique standalone thing that is alive and here and then gone. You've existed, like the things that make you up have existed for billions of years, and they will continue to exist as part of the cosmos because energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes forms. You're also connected in a quantum field, which is continuous throughout space all at once. It might look like there's space between us, or maybe, it looks like there's space between me and this microphone, but actually we're connected in this quantum field, in this quantum net. So we're actually linked. Everything, you, me, the stuff here, it's all linked. And you can't be removed from the universe. You're completely integrated. You can't like pull you out and take you out of the universe. No, you're in it. So it looks like you have this isolated body, but really it exists interconnected with everything around it. Okay, think of the air, right? That is constantly cycling through you. You can't live without that. The food that you eat and digest and become part of your body that regenerates your body, you cannot live without that. Water, these are all things that are outside of you that you absolutely require in order to maintain this body. This illusion is really, or this separation is really an illusion. Even just the way that we perceive ourselves and the connection that we have with other people, it seems like we're like an isolated person, but really, even our personalities are really shaped by the people around us and how they think about us, right? And how we think about them. So we are all really connected. And I personally think that all that connection is like anecdotal proof of this quantum field, this continuous flow of energy, because we're actually experiencing it every day, the continual flow of energy every single day. So that's kind of like proof that, oh yeah, it really is just a continuation of and a shift of energy. The other part of this is your mind creates reality. So we tend to think that we look outside and, we're getting this binocular view of everything. But really, what we're getting is sensory input, and our brain constructs reality in our mind. So the universe as you perceive it is the reflection of you, and it doesn't actually exist without you. So the smell of a rose is completely unique to you. Nobody else experiences the smell of a rose the way that you do. So that smell, that particular qualia of the universe does not exist without you. Everything that you're seeing and perceiving and looking at and interpreting, those are all coming from you. It's coming from your attention. It's coming from your beliefs. It's coming from your what it is that how you interpret what's going on. Think of going to a party. Two people go to a party. One person loves parties. They love people, right? They go and they have a great time, lots of laughs. Another person goes and they're kind of socially awkward. They're not really into being around other people. So they kind of have they have an okay time. Like it wasn't really that great. It's the exact same party. It's the two people are bringing completely different experiences to the party, or having completely different experiences. They essentially go to a different party, even though it's the same party. So some believe you are the conscious living universe experiencing itself in space-time. The truth is we don't know what creates consciousness, but when you start to really analyze it, especially from a scientific perspective, it kind of looks like consciousness is everywhere. And it may be that it's the universe itself that's conscious, and you are just an extension of that experiencing itself in this space-time reality. So in this time, in this space-time being matter, things you can touch and see, along with this idea that we see things kind of in this linear way, with time, minute by minute. So that was very sciencey. So if it blew your mind, I apologize. But I want you to see like how integrated you are into this beautiful, magical, shifting energy, and that you are a part of this universe. So if you have the desire, the universe does too. You're on the right path. You're right. Okay. Common belief number four. We've got this mountain here. There's too much to do, and I don't have blank. Maybe I don't have the money. I don't have the time. How many of you have said I don't have the time, right? I don't have a social media manager. I don't know how to do reels on TikTok. Right? Whatever it is, fill in the blank, right? I know I've been there. I have absolutely been there. I can very easily build a mountain of what there is to do, and it can get really scary, right? So here's the perspective shift. Shifting energy works on your behalf. All right. This idea that you have to do all of these things to get to where you're going is not really true, because you never know what's going to catalyze and come in as you move forward, right? So you want to take the next inspired step, knowing that reality is constantly shifting into new realities based on what you set your attention on, right? Like I think of actors who go on auditions. They never know what's going to be the next audition that's going to land for them, right? So they have to just keep going, right? So they start with this reality that I'm an out of work actor, and I'm going to audition. So they're taking the next inspired step. They're going where their agent says to go. They're taking that acting class and meeting people. They're mixing and mingling with other with producers and all those kinds of things. And next thing you know, they book a job, and now that's their new reality. They're no longer an out of work actor. They're an employed actor, right? So space time, I mentioned that before, which is this idea that we're experiencing moment by moment realities. We have a past, a present, and a future. Is constantly moving energy, rearranging into new configurations and synchronicities. So this idea that as we step and move forward, energies are coming towards us at the same time. I love that. So as we're going towards something, it's coming towards us as well. And your intention and your attention and your mindset moves you and the energy that surrounds you towards your beliefs and your intentions. All right. So, like, imagine you want to become a doctor. Well, what do? You go to university and you take those classes and you learn and you start to move yourself towards that intention. The other thing is you're not alone, right? There's so many other beings are working on your behalf. When you're open to guidance, you share your ideas and you ask for support. Now, I say other beings because obviously I mean human beings, even, your pets. Like, let's say you're focused on well-being and you want to de-stress. Well, a cat is so great for that, right? Like, so they're helping you to de-stress, or your dog or whatever, right? But if you're also open to the spiritual, which I am, I firmly believe, I actually know that we have these we have a spiritual guide, we've got angels, we've got other people on our behalves that are working in this energetic realm to support us and to help move these energies towards us and around us and give us guidance when we are sharing those desires and we're asking for support. And certainly even just in the practical, if you want more clients, if you don't tell people that you're looking for clients, they don't know to help you. So, when I was looking for some work, I told somebody who was in an industry, hey, I'm just looking for maybe some clients if you know of anybody. And they were like, actually, yeah, I do. Let me introduce you to so and so. And that ended up being a really great connection for me, and bringing in a lot of revenue and income. And so if I hadn't engaged in other people and said, hey, do you know of anything? Have you heard of anything? Let me know. I wouldn't have been able to land that client. I would never have been connected with them. Right. And this is true even still with, even let's say not getting a client, but even just in learning, right? Like, Hey, I'm confused about taxes. Go ask a bookkeeper or an accountant and or follow them online and see what they're saying and learn and absorb. Like get this information from other beings. Allow that guidance and support. And this is something somebody said to me a really long time ago, and it's always stuck with me. And it's maybe you don't have the blank because you didn't need it before. I love that one. Sometimes, if you've never had the desire to do something before, of course you didn't have the thing, right? Because you never needed it before. You never had the desire before. So why I don't know why we think that just because we don't have the thing now, once we get the desire, doesn't mean we're not going to have the thing or get the thing or find the thing or align with the thing or whatever. Okay, so I love that little reframe. Maybe I don't have it because I didn't need it before. Now that I need it, it's coming to me. It's coming to me. All right, perspective shift or common belief number 6. Conventional tactics feel icky. Raise your hand if you feel like unaligned with conventional marketing, or like you saw a course and some bro was giving you like 12 pointers to create a funnel or whatever, and you're like, oh, that doesn't really sound like me. So here's the perspective shift. Your way of doing things can work too. Absolutely. You don't have to follow somebody's 12-step formula. Or maybe you're over a certain age, and so dancing on social media doesn't really feel aligned. You don't really want to take bikini pics of your body to sell your smoothie. You don't have to. Okay. And certainly if it doesn't feel aligned, it's gonna look that way too. So don't force yourself. There's no one way of doing things. That's the real truth. So you want to modify the principles of marketing and business to find methods that suit you. Okay. Marketing's not like, it's not rocket science. Okay. It's story, it's connection, it's repetition. There's a psychological aspect to it, but that's just a tool part of it, right? That's just an effective way. You don't have to make it manipulative. So those patriarchal, hierarchical, masculine ways of business and marketing and sales, they're not the only options. You don't have to follow those. You can go in those more like feminine and collaborative ways, the networking, collaboration, community, those all work. Repeative cycles of productive flow and rest. Yes, you can rest in your marketing and your business, right? You don't have to do the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Like my business does not run Monday to Friday. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I still have clients. People will still work with me, even though I don't do the traditional 9 to 5. Use technology and automation. Automation is a very feminine thing. That's very feminine. So, if you're, I'm just assuming this, I work with mostly women. So, tap into that. That's okay. Those cyclic flows, that automation, that's all part of, that's a very feminine thing. So tap into your intuition and your energetic body, right? So if something's not feeling right, you know that you can find that way. So be open to the possibilities that if you want to find a way that feels aligned, you can and you will. Like, let's not shut it down and go like, it just doesn't feel right, so I'm not going to do it. Let's be open to that possibility of like, well, I'm going to find a way that feels aligned. And I believe that I can and I will, and that's going to open up for me. So things feel icky. You can find a way that works for you. All right, common belief number 7. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, guess what? No one knows what they're doing. I love this one because it's just so like obvious, and it's very freeing to be like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, like no one knows what they're doing. So I want to give yourself a lot of grace, okay? No one is born knowing how to operate and market a business. Okay. You don't come out and be like, you've got the like monopoly hat on and you know what you're doing. Nobody does. Okay. So new things are uncomfortable. That's normal. That's because I said it way earlier before, whereas your brain wants to be in this like low energetic state. When you're learning new things, you are like programming and it takes a lot of energy and your body has to be trained to do the things. And that's uncomfortable and it takes time. And listen, everyone sucks when they start out, okay? Everybody's making mistakes. Mistakes and failure are normal and necessary for growth and success. You don't learn from success, you learn from failures. So you've got to be making mistakes. You've got to be failing in order to expand and grow. And growth is a lot of times is that expansion and contraction, right? So the failure, the contraction, that's just leading you up to your next expansion. It's totally normal. Give yourself grace. No one's holding you to the past. This is another one. Sometimes I had one client and they priced their package, they priced a program at, I think it was like $79. And then they realized after a little while that actually wasn't, that was a little bit high for the market. Like when they actually looked and they looked at the market and they looked at what it was and they realized, oh, shoot, actually, this should be more like $39. And they were so reluctant to drop the price because they thought everyone's going to remember that it was $79 and people are going to be mad at me. Like they're going to be furious that I changed the price to 39. And it was like nobody really remembers. And usually, to be honest, when you do change the price, they probably just assume that you maybe changed it. It might be a new program, a different program, right? Like people are not paying that much attention. Another thing is I knew a business coach, and before she was a business coach, she was a teacher. And so part of it was like this idea of like, well, they're going to know I was just like an elementary school teacher. Well, they're not. You're going to, if when you get to tell people who you are and what you do. All right. Nobody, just because you used to do some other kind of job or whatever does not disqualify you from this next chapter in your life. So accept where you're at and know you're getting better every day. If you're watching this, I'm sure you have that desire to just be better and do better and, have that heart-centered approach to what you're doing. Okay. So you are getting better every day because you have the intention to do so and the heart to do so. And again, you're going to find that way if that's your intention. So give yourself grace.